and assessors, once again a very warm welcome to you for this refresher training for the award assessors. Today's webinar objectives would be to provide you with an update on the Food Safety Award. We will specifically outline for you our achievements and the milestones that have been achieved, the introduction of the new applicant sectors categories of 2040, the revisions in the criteria checkpoint and the weightages, the number of assessment days and the schedule that we need to follow this year, the feedback on the assessment reports, where all do we need to improve, which were the things that went right, which were the things that went wrong, the requirement of on-site completion of feedback writing, scoring, and executive summary. This is a point I would like to draw your attention to. Today's presentation focus will be on how we complete the whole exercise within those 3 days of on-site assessment. Consensus meeting guidelines is also another key agenda point, and of course the key dates. Let me first thank you all assessors and senior assessors for your tremendous contribution to this Food Safety Award. You all made it happen. We have been able to build capacity of the Indian food sector on the global standards of food safety, and by the way, enhancing its competitiveness. We have been instrumental, the assessor team have been instrumental in creating role models and identifying best practices, and of course in the process towards consumer health, hygiene and safety. But of course we have a long way to go. As I mentioned about our achievements, we have grown more than 600% from 2010 with respect to the number of applicants. We have grown with respect to our pool of assessors by more than 500% since 2010. And as you know, last year was a big achievement for us, where we had street food participation in the award, and quite a few of you were also involved in the assessment of the street food. This has been a win-win model for the applicant as well as the assessor organizations. I know many of your organizations have released more than 9 to 10 assessors last year doing multiple assessments. So there have been organizations which have contributed to more than 20 assessments last year. The benefit has been both to the applicant as well as the assessor organization, and this, when we looked at the figures, we found it was around 800% rise. Last year, sector-specific awards were introduced since we had some reasonable number of participation from those particular sectors. This year, with the feedback from our assessors as well as the applicants and our expert group members, we have introduced two more criteria, that is the fresh produce fruits and vegetables as well as the warehouse, wholesale and retail. Specific efforts are also given to rope in the tea, coffee and the spices industry in the award application process. Last year, we also had the small, medium, large and the rising star applying for the award. Basically, this award has helped develop in-house facilitators. The application, rather the assessment format that we share with the assessors are being used as a self-assessment tool for their own organizations, and of course it does give an opportunity for an external recognition, the CII National Award for Food Safety. Our assessor pool has now gone up to 169 food professionals, and there are more than 50 organizations which have contributed to this pool of assessors. Last year, there were about 40 plus organizations which contributed their assessors for this award program, and we have listed these here. These posters were shared in this Food Safety and Quality, our annual Food Safety and Quality Summit, as well as the award program ceremony. Once again, just as a refresher, the selection of the assessor team members depends on their exposure to the global standards, their domain expertise, their participation in the 2 days assessor training and the refresher training is a must. Of course, their performance in the last year's assessment. Many of you have provided your feedbacks, your valued feedbacks on your assessor team members, and a few companies had also provided their feedback, which helps us assess the performance. Then the locational proximity of the assessor is also taken into account. We also, when assessors are taking up multiple assessments, we try to put them in the same sector for the purpose of calibration. We also have taken technical experts or food professionals as additional supports, and we try not to take anyone from competitor organizations or provide ex-employees as assessors, unless of course the company has no problems. These are the last year's award winners. We had 6 award winners last year, and these are listed all in your in the posters, and these are widely publicized in all our training programs, our conferences, seminars, expos. As you know, last year the award trophy for outstanding performance, it was like the previous years. There was only one per sector, per category, per size, and we had 6 such award trophies last year. For commendation for significant achievement, which is the next, which are those organizations which have fallen just short of the outstanding performance, and these can be more than one. Then comes the strong commitment to excel and the strong commitment to good hygiene practices. These were also more than one. And then comes the letter of appreciation. I am sharing basically these levels are the final decisions of the jury. Every year it may not be this way, but however we have been having this consistently, that is the award trophy for outstanding performance, the significant achievement, and the strong commitment to excel. These 3 are the standard. The others are add-on. Our jury members have been Mr. Ravi Mathur, Dr. Gopi Ghosh, Mrs. Harita Vashi Reddy, Professor H.N. Mishra, and Dr. Uttam Chatterjee. They were our last year jury members, and the awards committee members were from the industry, stakeholder industries, some of them, and we have tried to keep a representation from the entire stakeholder domain. This is as you know, it is one of its kind award in the country on food safety, and the criteria numbers are put in red here with the 2 new introductions of criteria 4 and criteria 5. We have even this table 1 has changed. We've just outlined whatever I've been mentioning on which units would belong to criteria 1 to 5. This is for the assessors to check whenever you get as soon as you receive the application document, please check against this table. The beneficiaries have been all, and when we tried listing them down as per the applications and the assessors that we have received, we found that these were all the sectors which have been benefited, and of course it has a direct impact on the consumers, the Indian food chain industry, as well as the regulatory body, the FSSAI, who has come in and endorsed our award by participating in the award ceremony as well as in the summit. I think you all know that units of Indian organizations and also their overseas units can apply. Okay, now I will just summarize the revision in the checkpoints and the weightages. The model still remains the same. That is, from the 3-tier model in 2010, it has come up to the 4-tier model of 2014, quite the same as last year. The score breakup for criteria 2 and 3 remains the same. That is 150 for change management initiatives, 700 for the PRP, HACCP and food safety systems, 150 for product specific, and no scores for social, statutory and regulatory compliance, which is a mandatory requirement for its eligibility to the award. Now, we have been customizing the models for large, SMB and micro, and this is updated annually. Here we show you the 2013 models which were updated, and this year we have the 2014 models also, which some of you, if you are applicant companies, you have already received the updated model, and the assessors will also receive the updated model of 2014. Now, criteria 1, which is on street food vendors and which we were also using for the warehouses, the retail as well as wholesale, it has now changed. Criteria 1 has been totally customized only for food vendors, and this has been adapted from the codex, the draft codex document on food vendors. So there has been a change here, and if you note, one key change is that there is 100 marks allocated for those who have received their registration, FSSAI registration or licensing as applicable, or has applied for it. And the food safety practices have also, the weightages have also been altered, the sequence has been changed, and there has been more focus on appliances, then personal hygiene behavior, as well as serving food, food preparation, handling, and others. The format has been simplified for use. We come to criteria 2 and 3, where we are saying there is no change. It is absolutely the same as last year. Now comes the criteria 4. So this year, any organizations which have a wholesale or a warehouse or a retail or a combination of all of this will have to apply under criteria 4. It has been customized for this sector, and for this, for statutory regulatory requirement and also for social compliance, some marks have been allocated, which was not there last year. So 100 marks have been allocated here. The food safety practices are mostly on the industry best practices with respect to the prerequisite program, the risk assessment, and the food safety management system structure. The sector specific GMP would depend on what the what is being rather stored or warehoused, what is being sold, and the change management initiatives remain more or less the same, only a little simplified. Okay. Now we come to the criteria number 5, which is on primary production, but it covers only the fruits and vegetable sector. Here also social compliance is having 100 marks, whereas the prerequisite program, risk analysis, management system structure, sector specific practices, and improvement initiatives also have weightages attached to it, where the sector specific practices on fruits and vegetables has been given the highest weightage. The sector specific GMP for 2 and as well as 3 remains the same. I would like to draw your attention at the cost of repetition on the distinction between the improvement of FSMS, which is covered in our section B, that is the Food Safety Management System structure, and the Change Management Initiative section D. Please remember that section D do not give any credit for ISO 22000 work in the section D, because ISO 22000 or FSSC 22000 is covered elaborately in your section B. So please don't cover that once again in section D. Section D, which is Change Management Initiatives, involves or includes programs where the company has put in structured total employee involvement programs. And when we say total, it has a significance. How many employees are involved in small group activities or in cross-functional teams or in TPM, lean, etc. Whatever they are declaring as a change management initiatives in their organization, please see what is the employee involvement and how do they do it in a structured manner. Tools and techniques, 5S, 3M, mistake proofing, changeover time reduction, all that is there. TPM, business excellence models, would also get credit under section D. Now comes the assessment guidelines. This year, we would be providing you with a presentation which the senior assessor can make during the opening meeting. And in the opening meeting, these are some of the slides that we have included. One is that the rigor of assessment, that is how many man hours per unit do we spend in the award program. Basically each unit gets more than 100 man hours per unit through the 4 green diamonds indicated in this particular flow chart. I will start with the number 1, that is the award applications are invited. CII phase receives the LOIs, the letters of intent. Then the eligibility is checked for the application document. Then assessor training is conducted for new assessor pool, refresher training for existing assessors are, and this is in the process of completion. We are on the refresher training for existing assessors. By the way, we are also having some more assessor training programs, on 15th and 16th in Calcutta. We are having one in Chennai on 21st or 21st, 22nd. I don't exactly remember the dates. In May in Chennai. Okay. After this, the assessor teams will be composed this year. We will complete the assessor team composition by May last week. And then we will communicate to all of you. Site visits are conducted. That total is, 100 hours is for all the 4. After the, please remember that you assessors are contributing to the first phase of assessment only. After that comes the calibration process, which is our second diamond, mentioning feedback reports and scores reviewed for consistency. Then comes the third round of evaluation or assessment, which is by the awards committee meeting to verify the award conduct. And then comes the final round of assessment, which is through the jury meeting, and they have the final say for finalizing the winners. So, as assessors, you must know that you are contributing to the first and one of the very critical, and your report should help, because after that your report is the only basis through which the next 3 stages of assessments would be done. We then will have the awards gala night, which is clubbed with our annual food safety and quality summit, and the dispatch of the feedback reports will happen within 15 days of the awards gala night. Now, the next point that I want to bring to your notice is that the objective of the site visit for the award assessment is that you will be assessing excellence. How would you be assessing the excellence of food safety? It will be as per the guidelines which are there in the application document and the assessment formats in the form of checkpoints. We will also provide you with the maturity matrix. I hope you all remember the maturity band that we provide to you. So, excellence as per the guidelines provided, as per the maturity band provided. This is what the site visit assessment is about. And it does not finish there. That reporting is so critical, that reporting from a third-party perspective to the next set of evaluators. That is what is important, and that is what the award program is all about. It is not where we call the award applicants and ask them to make a presentation at the jury. It is the jury needs to get a third-party perspective of the award assessment on each applicant. Please remember, this is not a compliance audit of food safety against requirements. I will be elaborating this point in my subsequent slides. I was talking about the maturity matrix. Basically, the maturity matrix is the maturity band. The implication of percentage awarded remains the same as last year. We are not looking for audit reports. Generally, what do we find in audit reports? We generally find non-conformance against mandatory compliance. We also find references mentioned there that, document number so-and-so mention a non-compliance against that. No, we don't want these references. Please do not waste your time recording these references. That is not required. Your finding, of course, the objective evidence has to be written as per what you found there, not what you found in the document. If you find a scrap trend or a rework trend is improving, we expect you to put the 3 years rework figures so that the jury or the calibrator knows exactly, and then the percentage improvement. So the next set of evaluators know exactly why they were scored on that. So this is the kind of objective evidence we are looking at. The objective evidence has to be your finding and summaries of a strength and an OFI, not just an OFI. Award feedback reports should provide feedback of the unit status on food safety excellence, that is OFIs and strengths. Please do not forget the strengths. The quality of the strengths and the quality of the OFIs will help the next calibrator, the awards committee and the jury to decide whether they agree with your scores or not. Hence, feedback must be well articulated so that it helps further independent evaluations on maturity levels and can be compared with other reports to decide winners. Let me tell you what happens in the calibration process. Supposing there has been 10 applications from the beverage industry, similar kind of beverage industry. Now these 10 assessment reports will be read by the calibrator, compared with each other to see whether similar situations, similar findings have been scored in the correct band or in the similar band. If not, the band is changed. This is what calibration is all about. Hence, your articulation of the strength and the OFI becomes extremely critical for a justified scoring and a justification to the next levels of evaluators. Consensus remarks are important. I have just mentioned what we've just summarized what I've mentioned now, that it must capture and articulate consensus information. Now, the key word is consensus. Why are we saying the key word is consensus? Supposing you are a 2-member team or a 3-member team. It should not be like this, that the person, assessor who has looked at the prerequisite program just passes on the findings to the next assessor. It's not a consensus and consolidation. They are two different terms. Consolidation means just getting whatever you had and adding them together, removing duplications. But consensus is what? When you debate, when you share findings, when you add to it, when you delete from it, and then you arrive at a consensus. So you see, consensus is important. Hence, that last day consensus meeting is almost like a 12 hours exercise. Please don't compromise on that. Otherwise, we will have consolidated findings. We will not have consensus findings. So now how do you do it? Only when you write the strengths in the OFIs, and the rest of the team members challenge that, debate on that, add to it, delete from it. That is a consensus finding. Scores with justifications. Executive summary to reflect key findings by assessors to the jury. Now, the consensus meeting day should also be a day when the executive summary draft is made. The first draft should be completed on that consensus meeting day, because this is what the jury will focus on. And based on this, they will ask questions, on the details. So this becomes a very key document for the next levels of evaluation. Why do we need to articulate? I think I've mentioned that. Calibration, because it must assist calibration, awards committee review, as well as a jury review. Now, this year, assessors are requested to check the robustness of the recall procedures and the traceability. Up to which level are they doing it? As we have mentioned, there is nothing called non-conformance. It is how much could they go to? Have they gone up to the warehouse level, to the distributor level? Have they gone up to the retailer level? Can they trace it back to the farm? If not, where is it, up to which point are they tracing it to? That is what maturity, that will give them the maturity score. Okay. Assessment should consider checkpoints on sustainability, that is waste management, ETP management, environmental impact. Then results and rework trends. As we said, the objective evidence should not be a document number. The objective evidence on rework trends should be the actual figures that you have got. So put down the figures. Actual objective evidence on customer complaints will be, again, the figures, what they've done on the root cause. What did you think about the root cause analysis, and not the reference, document number. Feedback reports to reflect transparencies of, if the organization is hosting consumer visits, they get a lot of credit points because it reflects transparency. Compiling recommendation on the best practices of the industry. This is also a part of the SSS responsibilities. This time in the application document, we have put in this table on environmental impact. Please ensure that the company fills it in, of course, providing they are keeping this data. If they're not keeping this data, then you'll have to say data not kept. Okay. The code of conduct to be followed by the assessor. I think this is something, again, as a reiteration, adapt to their culture. Culture means, sometimes, some organizations may have some prayer timings, or, some kind of, what time they end. All that has to be respected. No gifts from the applicant companies. I think the senior assessor should write this in the very first introduction mail, to the applicant company. No request for any favors outside logistic requirements. Of course, and the appropriate dress code has to be followed during the plant visits. And the most important is that you have to utilize the evenings for sharing the findings of each day and then writing the allocated feedback. Otherwise, the consensus meeting will not happen. And each of you must carry a laptop. Each of you. So this is a site visit planning guideline that we are sharing for a 3-member team. See, day 1 has to be the arrival day. And if possible, if everybody is reaching right in the evening, they can have their small internal briefing meeting. Day 2, day 3, day 4, I will elaborate in my next slides. Day 5 is the departing day. So early morning of day 5 you can depart. My request to you is that please don't depart on day 4 evening, because if you take a 6 o'clock flight, you will have to wind up by 2 o'clock. You will not even finish half the consensus meeting. So basically you will, and please don't arrive on the day of the on-site assessment. The process has to start by 9 o'clock. There is a lot of paucity of time. If you look at these slides, you will understand this is just a sample site visit program that we used last year, and this really helped us to complete things in time. The internal meeting between the assessors should be, if you have not been able to conduct that on day 1, you can do that on day 2 during the drive to the plant, and in that case, no SSE should be, that means the applicant company should not be present in the car. So the senior assessor needs to take care of this. Opening meeting, we have said, this time we will give you a short presentation, for the opening meeting. Walk around the plant. Please do not do this more than 1 hour 15 minutes, because the walk around the plant is only to understand the layout and the process flow, nothing more than that. After that, each of you will get an opportunity, if you follow the site visit program, to come and see the factory floor and the the process in details. That is how we have designed the site visit program. If you stick to that, there will be no issues. Walk around the plant. If it is a huge plant, please ask for a car. Please ask for a transport, through which we've done it before also. Huge plans, but we've been able to complete it within that time. And this is critical to your completing, the program on time. If you delay this, if this becomes a half-day program, everything will go for a toss. Okay, then comes the top management commitment, another half an hour. Then you all can split, split between 2 or 3 members. And another crucial point is that you must complete day 1 by 4 o'clock, no matter how much. So that is why you need to do your homework by 4 o'clock. Whatever you have finished, please finish it. You will find information from the other assessors also. And then, you either you start driving down to the hotel, or you get back to the room to share the findings for about 1 hour. Section D, you can also, that can be also done individually. As you are going to the shop, the factory floor, you can also assess your change management initiatives, because that's all about total employee involvement, TPM implementation in the factory floor. So that is done side by side. You can make assessments on that. Okay, sharing of the day's findings, 16 to 7:30. Again, that 4 o'clock in the evening, you must, that's your cutoff time, on day 1. And recording the findings in the assessment format. Each assessor must be allocated a section. I will talk about that allocation later on, and that must be done for about 2 hours, each day. And the senior assessor, or the one who is more experienced, could next day have a look at 1 or 2 sample write-ups that the other assessor team members have made, and give a feedback on how to improve it. Okay, the next day, sometimes a company offers to do a change management initiative presentation. So in that case, all of you all can see it together, but not more than 45 minutes or half an hour. Then you all should each go back, and the time is 3 o'clock, maximum 3:30. So by 3:30, you have to finish whatever you had to finish. Again, as again, this is possible. I'm not saying anything which I have myself not done. I'm saying everything of what has been practiced. Now, preparation for the closing meeting, 1 hour. Closing meeting has to finish on the day 3. That is the second day of the site visit. In a 5-day program, day 3 is the closing meeting. Even last year, I found a few teams doing their closing meeting on the consensus meeting day. Please do not do that. It will be a lot of problem. You will not be able to finish your consensus. You will be spending time going up and down, the travel and all that is there. You will be encroaching on your consensus meeting time. That's not the way it has to get done. Moreover, you don't need a consensus meeting to do the closing meeting. Closing meeting, no scores are shared. It's only the key strengths and the key OFIs which you have by 3 o'clock or by 3:30. This timing is important for you to maintain. Then comes the sharing of the reportings. Senior assessor to guide the team on reporting the feedback remarks, like when you're sharing the reportings, you need to see how the others, especially the senior assessor or the person experienced in the team, must have a look at it and, you know, guide the other team members to do it correctly, because they are doing it an individual work in the evenings. You know, that has to be correct as much as possible. Then recording the findings again in the evening. Now comes your day 4 of a of a total days of day 5. Day 4 is a consensus meeting. See, when you come to the consensus meeting, say max 10 o'clock, we started at 5. In my teams, we all started at 9 o'clock in the morning, not 5, 9 o'clock in the morning. And by 9 o'clock, each of us had our write-ups ready. So, you know, all sections were covered. So then review and refine the findings of all 4950 subsections. If you see now, if you give 10 minutes per section, 10 minutes per section, you know, for 50 subsections on a consensus meeting, you will find it takes a minimum of 6 to 7 hours. Otherwise, you're not doing justice. Let me tell you, the first few may take about 15 minutes. After that, it will not take more than 10 minutes to refine the remark, that is, put all strengths, all OFIs, do an individual scoring, then do a, you know, consensus scoring, and, you know, putting in. So, and no SSC should be present that day. Then individual, and then the preparation of the executive summary. I will again, you know, share with you how we do the executive summary in the most efficient manner. Okay. Then the senior assessor collects the feedback forms from the assessors and the original self-declaration form from the applicant. Okay. Now, if you allocate work to the 3 assessors or the 2 assessors in this manner, everybody gets a chance to see the food safety practices in details. Let me explain to you how. Supposing it is a 3-member team. Assessor A, say, has been allocated the PRPs. So while looking at the PRPs, that is the pest management, the equipment suitability, the cleaning maintenance, he's also getting to look at, you know, how the CCPs are getting monitored, how the process is getting monitored, what kind of mistake proofings they have. So the PRP person has also, while doing his or her section of PRP, also captures an idea, but not in details, of the way the CCPs are getting handled, the monitoring getting handled, you know, the training of the people. Then comes the assessor B. If you have allocated assessor B, the risk assessment part of it, what does he look at for the risk assessment? Some kind of, you know, conference room work has to be done where, you know, the manual is also looked at. So, but while he or she is looking at number 9 or number 10, 11, you know, 12, 13, he or she is actually looking at the details of the, you know, of the work, and in the process would also have an idea of the PRPs that he has seen, also of the way the system structure is being, you know, followed there, the team being followed there. So the B also gets an idea of the factory floor work and the PRPs. B should also be, because the write-up of section B2 is not, this is a very critical analysis work. Someone who has a system standard expertise should do this section. But the write-up is not too long. But for PRP, the write-ups are very long. Okay. Now, so allocate section, this person who is doing the HACCP part of it, you know, also allocate the write-ups for the, you know, change management initiatives. He or she will have time for that. And also just, you know, checking the statutory, regulatory, and the social compliance part of it. Okay. Now we come to the C assessor. The C assessor, we can give him, I'm sorry, it has come under assessor A, it should have been under assessor C, sector specific GMP. Now what is sector specific GMP? All the mistake proofing, all the equipments. So the person who is doing the sector specific GMP is also getting a very fair idea about how the HACCP is implemented, how the PRP is implemented in the factory, because he or she needs to spend a lot of time on the factory floor and get an exposure to that. Okay. So also give C, I mean the allocation of the management system structure, which also includes some kind of, you know, documentation review, as well as, you know, the implementation of correction, corrective action, human resources, it's a training, communication, that part also. Now, if you allocate the work in this manner, everybody is getting to see every item. This is just a summary of what I have spoken about just now. The last 3 lines in red is that applicants to be requested to provide a meeting room, LCD projector, screen for the consensus meeting of assessors on day 4, 8:30 to 21 hours. Now I hope it is clear to you that if you have to travel on the consensus meeting day to the factory once again for doing a part of the assessment, you will find it a little difficult to complete. However, let me tell you, there will be cases where, maybe the top management is not there, so you would have to drive in, on this, consensus meeting day for a short for a short closing meeting. In that case, it may be better, to call them over to the guest house. Better not, to waste time in travel. As you see, the day is absolutely packed. So it's better not to travel that day. But again, exceptions can happen, and I'm sure as a team you'll be able to manage it, or by giving some additional time or coming away a little early than to the other 2 days, the earlier 2 days. Now for the opening meeting, as I said, we will be covering in the presentation, the short presentation with the senior assessor will be making on an introduction, be confirming the criteria scope, a little bit about the award. Tell them, most of them will not know about the award. Assure the confidentiality, safety measures, appeal, award schedule, applicant companies, and then give them half an hour for making a presentation. It is a very good practice for the applicant company to make a presentation and it should be encouraged by the senior assessor before he goes to the site visit. Please tell them that, they get a chance to make presentation on the improvements, initiatives that they've done, the mistake proofing. You can give a bird's eye view of that. And it is also good for them to share it with the senior assessor so that, in case it is required for the next sets of evaluations, it would be very useful. It is good for them. And if they wish, they can give an edited version of it. But definitely those photographs and pictures count a lot. The closing meeting, not more than half an hour. Please see what I have said. The senior assessor thanks the company, mentions the key strengths, key OFIs. No presentations or written reports from the assessor team should be given at this stage. I'm emphasizing this once again this year. And no scores, not even likely scores must be shared. First of all, you won't have scores with you, but please also don't give them, what you feel the maturity band that they belong to. Okay. In the consensus meeting, individual work, consensus work, both has to be completed along with the executive summary. So I think I've mentioned this already. It's just summarized what I've mentioned. Then this is just to drive home the point that 49 to 15 checkpoints through a consensus will require 500 minutes minimum. Then comes a score. Along with it, the scoring is a separate timing again. Okay. Self-declaration form, do not forget to bring that in, include in your feedback report. Executive summary must be completed, and only fine-tuning is done offline by the senior assessor within the next 7 days and submitted to CIFAs. Now, I had mentioned that I will share with you how an executive summary can be quickly, made in a very objective manner. See, supposing you have assessor A, B, and C. Now, each has been allocated their own sections. So the person who's done the PRP must be requested, to go through the finalized PRP articulations and, copy paste the key strengths and the key OFIs onto a Word document. First, just do that from each and every of those 14 sections, the key strengths, key OFIs. So once that is copy pasted, we would know that, okay, these are the key points which should appear. The second phase of editing can happen, a flow can happen, similar to the one who's doing the risk assessment, similar. So all these, if it is just copy pasted on a Word document, restricting the total, so PRP can get a 1-page write-up, the risk assessment part should not be more than, like one paragraph, because you can write down all the key points in one paragraph on the risk assessment part. Sector specific, maybe, depending on how much they have done, a half a page or a little, or a one paragraph. You would also, need to write a little bit about the introduction. You would need to write a little bit about the change management initiatives. So, total 3 to 4 pages. And we have provided a template also on the executive summary in the assessment format. When you do the consensus meeting on day 4, how is it done? Project on the screen the articulated feedback of each subsection checkpoint. Individually score on your notepad the obtained score percentage for this checkpoint. Each assessor mentioned his or her individual score. If the difference between the highest and the lowest scorer is 15% or more, debate the score based on the recorded feedback. You will have to reduce it to a 10% level max. Supposing that 10% level could not be reconciled between the assessors. Generally it is, because if you are justifying, which you may not have articulated, you may be justifying that is why you scored it. So then the articulation needs to be, again revised. But after everything, if it is not reconciled, not an issue. The senior assessor just must, make a point there saying that this had a range of more than, more than 10, which could not be reconciled. So and so give this point, so and so give this much score. And it must be recorded. That's all. Let the next level of assessment take care of it. Okay. The score must be justified by the strength and OFI. Okay. Now, if the scores and maturity band versus strengths and OFIs. How? If the checkpoint deserves world-class scores, mention the world-class strength. Here we are actually telling you how to write the remarks. You are giving them 90 or 95. Please write down what has been the world-class strength. You don't need an OFI there. But if it goes below 90, you will need to say why, what was the score for the, what was the strength for them to get an advanced level score, and what was the OFI that prevented them from just reaching that world-class level. I hope you will remember this point. The senior assessors must stress on this point when that consensus meeting is taking place. Same principles to be followed for the lower level scores also. Now here we have given some examples in this example of how to write down the findings. One is that you have to fill in the column of yes, no, not applicable, partly. On the right hand side, you have to write down, the strengths and the OFIs, the key strengths and the key OFIs. And, this time, see, and the score has, the obtained percentage has to be put in. Now, this is the old format of the score, of giving the scores. Now, we have just made it much simpler. It will be obtained percentage 85. And your assessment format score summary sheet will take care of the weightages. You need not worry. You just need to put an obtained percentage. That's all. Similarly for utilities, so this presentation will be shared with you. Have a look at, some of this. You will find that while the OFIs are also, very, quite well articulated out here. I'm not going through these because these are something you could look at yourself. We've attached some examples for you. Okay. Now this will be the executive summary template. The executive summary template, you need to put down the company and unit name, address, turnover. Last year we had a real problem on this. Most of the executive summaries were not filled in, and if it was filled in, it either did not have the company and the unit name the way the company would like it to appear, the address, the turnover was not mentioned, number of years in operation was not mentioned. So we did not know whether it was a rising star or whether it was a regular company. Then that introduction was not provided. These two in blue, this will be there in the template. You don't have to even touch it. It will be there in the template. Then number 5, 6, and 7, and 8, please meticulously fill this in. Otherwise it becomes, we are really growing, our award program, number of applicants is really growing. We need you to do things right first time, please. Okay, the role of the senior assessor. He is the one who, prior to the site visit, on the site visit, just fixes up the site visit dates, the site visit plan, the travel. It connects with the team members to the applicant company only when travel details need to be worked out. So basically, he's a single window, with the applicant company until the dates are fixed. When the site visit dates are fixed, then the senior assessor can put the rest of the team members with the applicant company so that the travel details could be worked out. Okay, please do some background work and encourage your team to do the background work on that particular sector that has been assigned, the product standards that needs to be known, the food safety technologies and the other best practices with respect to that organization's sector. Everybody has to carry a laptop. He has to carry one and has to ensure all his team members carry their laptops. Check whether the assessment format works on your laptop. Once you have been assigned the assessment and the site visit dates are fixed, you will be given the assessment format. So please check whether that is, whether the scores are working, whether the score summary sheet is getting, the formula is incorporating that score that has been given. So please do a dummy test on that. Then allocate process owners in discussion with the team members, that is a fixing up of the A, B, and the C. Share the findings in the evening with the team members. That is the senior assessor's role. He has to facilitate the team members, to actually do some serious working in the evening. I know it's difficult, but this is a request to all of you. Then complete the reporting of your allocated sections through the evening work on day 2 and day 3. Provide guidance to the team members on evening work on day 2, day 3. Maybe you can carry this particular presentation, share the, share some of these examples with them. He has to lead the briefing meeting, the opening meeting, and the closing meeting. He has to facilitate the consensus meeting on day 4. He has to ensure appropriateness of the articulated findings, scoring and score summary in the consensus meeting, executive summary in the consensus meeting, sharing the complete report. This is something you need to do. Share the complete report with the team members before you leave. So basically you can work from 3 laptops, but then, there has to be a merging. After all is finalized, please merge it in the senior assessor's, template. And then, this must be shared with all of them. Finally, CII will share the calibrated and the final feedback report with all the assessors. Last year also this was done. So submission to CII phase within 7 days. Senior assessor needs to take that, lead role. Interact with the calibrator as required. You will get phone calls from us, the senior assessor, to asking you questions on, wherever there has been points either which were not very clear or which needed a little more justification of a score. Then prepare jury presentation if shortlisted and make the presentation to the jury. The assessors also very similar, but definitely the lead assessor has some more on leading the team. So I will not go through these. It's very similar to the lead, the senior assessor, excepting for leading the opening meeting, closing meeting, executive summary. But you have to contribute your section to the executive summary and interact with the senior assessor as required and modify the report during the second phase of assessment. The key dates, we have extended the date from here. We have extended it to now May 16th. So submission of letter of intent to CII phase, please note that change. It is now May 16th. Submission of application document to CII phase is May 23rd now. It is not May 15th. The rest of the dates are the same. No change in that. So it's only the first 2 dates which have changed. So we have the Food Safety Awards night on December 2 and 3. I really hope that I'm able to provide each of you with an opportunity to do an assessment this year, so that also you will be part of you will get a complimentary invitation to attend the Food Safety Awards night as well as the Food Safety and Quality Summit, which will be on December 2nd and 3rd. So this year's summit theme is Excellence in Food Safety and Quality for Consumer Safety and Competitiveness. This presentation will be shared with you. Also in this presentation we have the sector specific GMPs along with it. So the food professionals which we have captured from the food professionals during the assessor trainings. I will just quickly run through it, otherwise it will not get recorded. So please don't try to follow it. You can go through it yourselves later. The question answer session will begin after some time. Let me please go through the sector specific GMP for the sake of recording only. Yes. So now we can start the question answer session. Please write your question in the question box and I will respond to you.